everyone, this is Brittany from Brit's Stitch Story. I'm here to give you another tutorial. This one is for my spring blanket pattern. This is inspired by another creator. I saw her on TikTok. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but I will put it up on the screen right now. But she has a kind of thicker, more blanket yarn type of pattern with a different type of flower on the outside. So this is my pattern. It was kind of inspired off of hers, but I just wanted to give her credit as well. So let's get started. First, we are going to make a magic ring. And if you don't know how to do this, there are a lot of great tutorials here on YouTube, or you can use the chain method, whichever's easiest for you. Then you're going to chain one, and then you are going to do 12 double crochets into the magic ring. All right, once you have your 12 double crochet, you're going to close off that ring and then slip stitch into the first stitch. All right, now we are going to be doing a stitch called the Solomon's knot. For those of you not familiar, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do it, so no worries. Basically, the Solomon's knot is where you pull up your loop to about an inch or so long is what I typically do. And then you're going to yarn over, pull through that loop, making sure to keep hold of your stitch at the bottom. And you'll see it makes this kind of triangle-esque shape. You're going to put your hook in between the front and back loops. Yarn over, pull up the loop, yarn over, and pull through. So it kind of creates a single crochet along the top, and then you have this long loop here. Then all you have to do is single crochet into the next stitch. Okay, so that's one Solomon's knot right there. To do it again, you pull up your loop, trying to get it as even as you can. It's not too much of a concern if you don't. Yarn over, pull through your loop, insert your hook into the middle of that triangle, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then do your single crochet. So basically you're just going to do this around. So you'll have 12 Solomon's knots. I'll show you this one more time. Pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through that loop, insert your hook into the midst of that triangle and yarn over, and then complete your single crochet, and then single crochet into the next stitch. So we'll go ahead and do that a couple more times. All right, this is what it's looking like so far. We have our final stitch here. Okay, now our next part of the pattern is to do a double Solomon's knot. So this is pretty straightforward, but I'll go ahead and show you this as well. So you start off like normal, doing your loop, pulling through, going into the triangle, and then making a single crochet. But then instead of going ahead and doing your next single crochet, you're going to pull up another loop of the same height and basically just complete the rest of the Solomon's knot. So now you have two. Now what you're gonna do is go into the single crochet that you made in your last round. So right here, put that into there and do your single crochet. And now you can see that you have increased. So let's do that one more time. Complete your first Solomon's knot. Complete your second Solomon's knot. And go into your next single crochet. And I know this looks kind of confusing. It can help to just figure out the end of the loop. So you locate the loop right here, and then the end, you can see your little V right there. and that's where you're gonna single crochet into. Oops, I dropped it, so let's do that again. Okay. All right, I completed almost all of my increases. As you can see, I just have one final stitch here. So I'm just going to go ahead and single crochet into that. And this is what it should look like so far. I know it looks kind of messy, but I promise the more you go, the more clear it will become. So basically the pattern is to just continue doing Solomon knots all around. I did notice that around every 8 to 10 inches or so that I completed on the blanket, it started to curl and almost like kind of fold up like a hat. And so all I did in that case was to do an increase. And once I did an increase, then it helped. So basically use Solomon's knot all around unless it starts to curl, and then you do double Solomon knots all around. So that's basically the whole pattern. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. It's pretty quick. And then I can show you how to add the flower border. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and show y'all how to add a flower onto the border. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, you guessed it, another magic ring. So let's go ahead and do that. And we're going to be putting it directly onto the border. So what that means is you're going to look at your edge, and you'll see that if you look closely, there is 2 top strands and 1 bottom strand and 1 Solomon's knot. And so what you're going to do is you're going to situate your magic ring up against the border, and you're going to do 7 single crochets onto the top of the Solomon's knot and into your magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and you'll see that I still have that bottom loop. Here, let me try to get a better angle, right there. And so now you're going to do 7 single crochet into your magic ring and into this bottom loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, and now you just tighten up this loop. And you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet that you made. Now this is the center of the flower, so now you need to switch to your main color of the flower. I am going to just use some lavender that I have here. So you can cut off the end, and then you can add your purple. And then I like to tie my 2 little tails together, even though I'm also going to weave them in. I just find that makes it just even more secure. Chain 2 with that lavender color, and you're going to put 1 double crochet in the same stitch. And I like to actually crochet over my ends, so I'm just going to do that right here. Then you're going to put 1 double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch in this next stitch. So as you can see, that creates a little petal. Next, you're going to go into the next stitch and you're going to place a slip stitch, chain 2, and then 1 double crochet. Now you're going to make the second half of that petal by doing 1 double crochet, chain 2, and then a slip stitch all in 1 stitch. So there's your second petal. So you just keep alternating that repeat, so slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 2, 1 double crochet all in 1 stitch, and then you kind of just do the opposite in the next stitch. So you start with double crochet, chain 2, and slip stitch. Sorry, it gets kind of messy with these tails here. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. I usually like to crochet all the way around the tails just to make sure it's really secure. So let's do that one more time before I show you the end. So slip stitch, chain 2, double crochet, and then go into the next stitch where you'll do double crochet, chain 2, slip stitch. And you continue that around until you reach the end. All right, so you can see here I've got my 7 petals. I like to go ahead and slip stitch into that blue start-in stitch that I have just to make it look a little bit cleaner. And I guess you could technically stop here. This is what it would look like on the border, but I like to do like a 2-tone or 2-level flower. So let's do that. So we're going to be working behind the stitches that we just made. So to do that, we're going to slip stitch into that first slip stitch that we made. And then we're going to chain 3 and slip stitch into the next loop, the next first loop of the next petal. And chain 3, slip stitch into the next petal, chain 3, slip stitch into the front of the next petal, chain 3, slip stitch, chain 3, slip stitch. And you just do this all the way around, and then you do one final chain 3 and slip stitch into the beginning. Okay, so that gives you 7 of these little chain 3 spaces, which is what we're going to be working into for the next round. And you'll notice sometimes the flower gets twisted as you're working on your blanket, so you can just kind of pull up the loop, undo it a bit, and then start over. Okay, so now working into these chain 3 spaces, you're going to slip stitch into the first chain 3 space, then you're going to chain 2, then you're going to do 3 double crochets, chain 2, and then slip stitch, and that's all in one chain 3 space. Now you just repeat that. So you slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, chain 2, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and slip stitch. So these are what your petals are going to look like. So you just keep repeating that all around. And the fun thing about these flowers is that you can really use any different color combination that you'd like, really spice up the blanket, and just continue this all the way around. All right, so this is what you end up with. I just did my last petal, And I'm just gonna slip stitch back into the beginning slip stitch just to make sure that it's extra secure. And then you can just cut off a yarn tail, and there you go. And that's how it would look.